lots of respect to anybody that went and walked out yesterday and like took it upon yourself to like go out and like, for example, in Manhattan, people were at Trump Tower, and for example, a school here in the Bronx, St. Catherine's, did their thing even though they're getting in trouble for it from their school. So lots of respect to you guys for that. And so what we have to...
I'd like to add something to that.
Yeah, go.
What's up, guys? My name is Brian, and today we're going to be talking about something that we've never talked about on the channel before.
So just a disclaimer for you guys. This topic is highly controversial and everybody's going to have an opinion. And so we respect your opinion just as much as we would like you to respect ours. So use the comment section as a place to have a discussion, not a debate. Don't let things get too personal. And also in the comment section right now, drop what you would think the ideal solution would be to solve
mass shootings
or decrease the frequency, because I don't think we could completely stop them, but what would be the ideal for you to decrease in frequency?
This is going to be super controversial, and I'm not sure how everybody's going to take it, and maybe we're not the most fit to talk about it, but I feel like we have a say-so, because we are high schoolers, and we do go to school every day, and we do have that thought in the back of our heads about, you know, is going to school even safe anymore? So I brought my buddy Matt.
What's up, guys?
Put his Instagram
at the Matthew Iglesias on Instagram.
Somewhere down here.
So we have like a list here pretty much just so that we could get all of our points across in an organized manner. Like you were, excuse me, like you were saying about like the fear aspect. Like there's been times where I'll be thinking about school shootings and like mass, like these like reoccurring mass shootings, and like I'll literally be like fearful. Like there's been times I'll literally be in class thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, like what if like this just happened right now? Because the kids in Parkland or any other school that's experienced something like terrible like this, the kids probably had no idea. And I think the worst part about it is that all those kids had dreams like we do, and it was just like stripped away from them. So
yeah, that's a very good point, because we're trying to get a better education and we're trying to better ourselves and become more successful individuals, but now we have to worry about, am I gonna even make it home today?
And I feel like that definitely goes back to the gratitude part of life. Like whenever people see me, like they'll be like, oh, how are you doing? I'll be like, I'm great. I'm just really appreciative to be alive. And I feel like some people don't take it like sarcastically. I'm just saying like as a joke, but I really mean that. Like, you know, your situation that you watching this video right now, like you're in a better position than a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And so like you could be dead right now. Like today could really be your last day alive. Like the kids who died in any shooting, they're probably the night before watching YouTube videos, the night before on the phone with their friend, the night before arguing with their parents, the night before stressing about homework, not knowing that the next day was going to be their last day alive. It should really emphasize for us just being grateful for being alive and being grateful for being able to record this video, being able to watch this video.
Yeah.
It's all about gratitude for me.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to get into my view on things first. I have a view that I cannot really share with YouTube, and I can't share it to people that don't really understand where I'm coming from, because a lot of that sounds like a conspiracy theory. So I think you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I can't really talk about how I really feel about the situation, but I can kind of talk about how I feel about gun control and how I think that we should have stricter gun laws, but I don't think guns are necessarily the problem. So I'm going to get into my little rant, and then I'm going to let Matthew take it from here, because I think he's way more educated on this topic or subject than I am. So I'm going to let him do a lot of the talking. He has his own YouTube channel as well. So if you guys are interested in seeing more videos like this, more controversial videos, or just any other type of video, he also has a YouTube channel that we're both trying to start and, you know, get growing and stuff. So I'll put his YouTube channel will be one of the links in the description. The walkout was great, and I respect people who did it, especially if your school wasn't like they didn't know of it, because our school we had like a prayer service. We go to a private school, so our school had like a prayer service for it, but they did tell us like if we walked off of property that we would get in serious trouble for it.
Yeah, suspended or expelled.
But for the schools that like didn't have any type of prayer service, and they actually took it upon themselves, like as you're in the middle of a lesson, to get up and walk out.
Lots of respect.
Yeah, lots of respect to that. But yeah, to be very blunt, that's not going to change what happens when it comes to shootings. walking out of your classroom raises awareness for the situation, but what's more important than walking out of class is treating people correctly. Because if you were to treat other people with the respect and dignity that they deserve, instead of, for us guys saying like, oh, he's not fly enough, he doesn't have the coolest sneakers or whatever, and when it comes to girls, like, oh, she did her makeup all messed up, da-da-da. That judgment right there is much more important than any type of thing to raise awareness and make posters or any of that. How we treat people today, how you treated somebody, how you looked at somebody walking home today matters more than walking out of your classroom and raising awareness. Because you can raise awareness and then still be, to be blunt, an asshole.
This goes like for your friends at school, your family members, everybody. Like, you should be treating everybody with the utmost kindness and respect. And one of the things that really got me to think that way is that everybody on this planet can teach you something. Like, anybody. Like, there's something that Brian knows that I don't know. There's something that I know that Brian doesn't know.
Fact.
And so you should just respect everybody just for that, and also just be a kind human being, like, to your family members and to your friends. Like, I feel like if, that kid at your school that sits alone at lunch that everybody makes fun of for looking a little weird, or that kid that's a little socially awkward and, like, he gets bullied but doesn't really defend himself.
Yep.
Like, if you were to go to that kid and be like, yo, like, are you good? Like, if you see, like, a kid in the hallway get pushed into a locker and he just, like, walks away with his head down and you stop and be like, yo, are you okay? Like, I saw what just happened. Like, just want to make sure, like, you're okay. Like, that could really either make somebody's day or really, like, prevent them from doing so.
Yeah.
Like,
Something as simple as that could literally save somebody's life. Save multiple people's lives.
And you saw with the Parkland shooting how that kid had, like, it's not an excuse, but you saw, like, the buildup of all the events in, like, Nicholas Cruz's life that led to that. Like, you could see the mental debilitation going on there. And if we could prevent that by being kind to your family members, being kind to your friends, like, ask yourself right now, are you really kind to all your family members, all your friends? Like, are you really, like, think about...
Are you as kind as you could be?
Yeah, are you as kind as you could be? Like, you could be a lot kinder. You could be a lot more respectful. Not that you have to kiss anybody's ass.
Yeah.
But just, respect people for being human beings.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to, criticize somebody over stupid things.
Because the same way you have a bad day, and the same way things aren't working out the way you want them to, it's the exact same way for somebody else. So don't ever feel that you're more entitled to something because you're having a good day and the other person isn't. Because the roles are definitely going to switch at some point or another.
Yeah, everybody has a sleeping problem. Like, there's problems that we all have that we don't want people to know about. Whether it be a personal issue, an addiction, a family problem, anything, a habit that we have that we don't like, a part of ourselves that we don't like. There's problems that we all have that we don't want to disclose to the world, and problems that we can be like, that could be the reason of our bad day that we don't want to speak about. So I could be having a bad day and hiding it because I don't want people to ask me, and then now you start coming at me because of this and that, and now you make my day worse, and now not just about my day, it's about my mental state. And now I feel even worse because a lot of the time, like 99% of people care about other people's opinions more than they care about their own opinions, which is a huge problem and deserves a video in itself. But because of that, you have to think that your friends are going to take your opinion very seriously, consciously or subconsciously.
Even the jokes that you make with other people, they can go a lot deeper than what you think.
And pile up and then result in that person feeling so angry, so depressed, so vengeful among other emotions.
Yeah.
Or, among other emotions, and then if they feel the need to express it in such a violent way. I mean, you could start looking at it psychologically and say that person's a psychopath, or that person has other psychological issues or mental issues, like diagnosed problems, which is a whole other thing that we'll get into in a bit. But if that's not the case, like, it could just be that person being so, like, fed up with life and everything that's been thrown at them that they decide to do that. So it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. But it's something that we should be taking into consideration when we're talking about guns, because with a lot of the protests that I've been seeing, people are saying, like, they're, like, anti-gun, like, more gun control. but is it really the gun that's killing that person, or is it the person killing that person? It's a tool. The same way money's a tool, the same way I can use my money to do illegal things. It's not the drug, it's me that's taking the drug.
So jumping into what Matt just said, I think the main problem is not guns, and this is the problem. It's such a two-sided thing because it's like, are automatic weapons, is that the problem, or is it the accessories to make certain guns automatic?
Because a big rebuttal to that is, okay, while guns don't kill people, people kill people. A big rebuttal that I've heard is, okay, while that's true, a gun is a much faster way to kill people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what I was saying to Matt before we started this video, it's like, okay, so let's say they banned guns. Who's to say we're not going to have, mass stabbings or something like that? But then when you think about it, it's like you can't take out as many people as you could.
Or like a truck. You saw like in Manhattan, that guy that drove down the bike lane with the truck and ran over a bunch of people.
And even before, fun fact, I was on the West Side Highway riding at this bike event, this bike jam, like 2 days before he decided to plow through people on the West Side Highway. So that was crazy. But that about the truck, not too long ago, there was a car. This guy in K2 was driving a car and ran it, I think, by 42nd Street, and ran into a bunch of people by Times Square. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
Yeah, he was high on K2 or something, and he just decided that it was time to run people over in the streets.
Somebody who has that goal, like let's say somebody who goes and they're like, all right, if I can't get access to a weapon, how else am I going to do this? They're going to say, all right, I could get...
They will find a way, though. That's the thing.
You could go get an illegal weapon, because if you ban an AR-15, let's say, or like rifles, why can't I get a handgun? Like a handgun is also a gun.
It's
right?
just as bad.
It's just as bad. It's probably not as fast as the rifle, but a handgun, it's going to probably do this. It's going to kill... It's
going to inflict the same level of damage.
There's been
to a certain extent.
School shootings with handguns. And so, if let's say you take away all that, which is never going to happen.
And realistically, the focus shouldn't even be on assault rifles, because it's not that easy to conceal an assault rifle. Like, we haven't really looked at how many shootings have been with handguns and how many shootings have been with actual huge or decent sized weapons. I think it's way easier to have a school shooting with a handgun rather than a big rifle, because it's easier to conceal. And this is under the impression that the student isn't coming from outside the school in. This is under the impression that the student is already inside the school.
Somebody can easily jump inside of a vehicle, probably a truck, and wait for that time that kids get out of school and just run them over. So I'm not trying to say like, screw what you're trying to say, like anti-gun is wrong.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, while I see your point of view, I see that guns would probably kill people definitely would kill people much faster than a lot of other
weapons.
Weapons or like methods of doing something like this. I feel like we should get to not how it was done, but why it was done. So people who are in this position where they feel they need to do something like this, it's not because they're just like, oh, fun. Like, it's a mental debilitation over time. Like, these school shooters, it wasn't an overnight thing. It was over time. Like, things happening that ended up leading to them doing something like this. So it's all up here. It's all up here. Taking care of mental health.
I think that's what I wanted to address this video more to, is mental health, instead of just saying, oh, you're wrong about guns and we're right, or we're wrong and you're right, something like that. I want to stay away from that, because that's not what this is about. Going back to what he said about vehicles, is that I get my license. I'm about to be 17 next week. I get my license at the end of the month, and who's to say like there's no background checks for vehicles? So it can go both ways. Like fighting what he said. Like it can easily go both ways. I'm gonna read something that is cited from the Washington Post. Opponents of gun control often point to the city of Chicago, which had 781 homicides and 3,000 shooting incidents in 2016, despite Illinois' relatively tough gun laws, as proof that gun control doesn't work. And that's why I stand by my statement that gun control might not be... But then this is the problem, that there's so many different ways to regulate guns. It's, do you regulate it with stricter background checks, which I firmly believe in, or do you...
But there's a law about like HIPAA laws and...
Yeah, and then it's like, oh,
so
so some medical records can't be shown. And I personally believe that...
For privacy purposes.
Yeah, for privacy purposes, but it's like, if you have a condition that needs to be hidden, then you probably shouldn't be owning a firearm. How serious is your condition? Like, how embarrassed would you be by your own condition that you can't share it to either, you know, protect yourself if you're buying a firearm? That'd make the most sense, to protect yourself to buy a firearm, or if you're getting into it as a sport. But I mean, for this situation, we're just talking about self-defense. It's so hard to say if I'm pro-gun or what is it, anti-gun, yeah, because there's so many different ways and loopholes that we could have stricter gun laws, and then there's so many ways where that could be used against us. Because one thing, I didn't really want to say this on camera, but one thing is, like, our government says, okay, you guys can no longer own firearms, which I don't think would ever happen. But let's say that it looks like a lot of these high school students, which were too ignorant and they were eating Tide Pods a few weeks ago, now have a huge voice and are now able to make gun reform decisions, which I think is insane. Let's just say that the government wanted to disarm us. Let's say that, hey, your Second Amendment is done with, you guys can't have guns anymore. What are they going to use to enforce that we don't have guns anymore? More guns. So when I get the whole, okay, you shouldn't be able to walk into a Walmart and purchase an assault rifle. A part of me disagrees with that. A part of me says that that should be possible, but there should be some super extensive background checks that take weeks to get done, just to ensure that the person getting that firearm can handle it. And on top of that, even if you pass the whole background check, at the end of the day, me and you have both been extremely angry at one point. And all it takes is somebody getting a little too angry, and at the same time they have a weapon, and hey, you know, they might not be doing a mass shooting or anything like that. Take out their anger on somebody, you know, close to them, yeah. So it's a very difficult subject to choose a side on. So I'm gonna let Matt talk about his point of view and how he feels about it.
So personally, how I feel about it, like how I asked you guys about what would you think the ideal would be. For me, the ideal would be having like armed ex-vets or armed trained guards, just armed guards in general, one at each door and one scouting the building. I feel like just that would be a huge deterrent, because when it comes to like terrorism, because what these people are doing is terrorism. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So these terrorists, they're looking for a place or their school where there's the least amount of resistance. If school shooter wants to go and release his emotions on a school, he's gonna go to the place with the least resistance. So if, let's say, our private school like hires their own guards, I'm not sure the laws surrounding that, but let's say they hire their own guards and they're armed, and our school's across the street from an elementary school / middle school. So if he's coming and he says, okay, where am I gonna go? The place where I know I'm gonna be met with resistance, or I'm gonna go to the place where I can do whatever I want and nobody's gonna get in my way? He's gonna go to a place where nobody's gonna get in his way. So if you start to have stricter gun laws, and then it ends up being that there's just less guns in the street, and but clearly your statistic prove that isn't true. But if it did end up playing out that way, like it was intended to, he's gonna go, okay, this area has less guns, less resistance, let's go. Now I can kill the most amount of people possible.
And one thing I wanted to add to that is that criminals don't follow laws. So when you have stricter gun laws, you are, well, I mean, I understand that because you're trying to prevent that criminal from being a criminal in the first place. That makes a lot of sense. But criminals don't follow gun laws. So let's say there's...
follow laws in general.
Let's say, yeah, exactly. So let's say that, you know, currently there's a school shooter. I hope there's never another one, but let's just say there's a school shooter right now, right? And he's hearing all this talk about gun laws and all of this stuff. At this point, he's already figuring out how to get it illegally. So the whole gun laws and all of this stuff, I don't know if that's necessarily going to solve the real problem behind it. I think it's more of treating people fairly and treating people kindly, and with all the human greed and envy there is in this world, I don't know if we'll ever be able to achieve that. So maybe this whole shooting thing is something we'll never be able to fix.
It's like what you were saying earlier about how like if the Second Amendment right was removed, the way they would enforce it is with guns.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was said earlier, much earlier in the video, how like our argument was like, do you solve the gun problem with guns? And yeah, because because that person with the weapon is, like I said, going to try to come to a place where he's going to be met with the least amount of resistance. So if you put armed, trained professionals, they don't have to be ex-vets, they don't have to be ex-cops, maybe ideally that way, just to provide jobs to those individuals. But I am aware of the PTSD and mental conditions that come from serving in war and all of the things that they see and experience because of that, and how that affects them psychologically. Mm-hmm. So you can just get like trained professionals and have them guard the school. And when it comes to arming teachers, I do understand that teachers are underpaid and they shouldn't maybe be in a position where they have to like learn how to use a gun and carry a gun just to like protect the school, because like they're not getting paid enough to do so. But in terms of that topic, I feel like if you're gonna decide to arm teachers like that Florida governor decided to, I feel like it should be like the teacher's choice. So I know personally in our school there's a lot of ex-cop, ex-military individuals, and I'm pretty sure that they would be willing to bear arms because they've been around it for so many years before deciding to service the community by being a teacher, and it would just be regular to them. Whereas, in other people's case, it might be like a psychological thing that they don't want to have to deal with, which is why I said it would be their choice.
So one thing I wanted to add to that is, if you're a teacher and you sincerely care about teaching your kids and keeping your kids safe, I don't see what's the problem with arming yourself to protect. Concealed carry, yeah, so the students wouldn't even know. This would be done completely behind our backs, which I kind of have a problem with as well. I want to know that my teacher is armed. I want to know my teacher has a gun. And this is one thing I presented to Matt yesterday while we were talking, is that, okay, so let's say the teacher has a concealed weapon. And let's say the teacher is trained, to physically fight and fight with the firearm. But somehow one of the students get a hold of that weapon. Now you just made it even easier for that student to get that weapon. I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to...
At the same time, though, my response to that would be is that cops, when in their holsters, like you would think it'd be easy to just grab it, but there's like two...
Yeah, there's like 3 levels.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 levels before you can actually get the gun out. Yep. So I think like teachers should have that precaution.
Okay, yeah.
And at the same time, like people might say a big counter argument to arming teachers is, what if the teacher snaps one day and he or she just takes out his gun during class and kills all the students? Well, you could say that about anybody. You could say that about a cop,
any police officer.
Police officers have guns, right? So what if a police officer snaps?
And the reason, they go through an extensive amount of training and stuff like that. And I think the teacher should be gone. The teacher should go through the same exact thing.
Same amount of training.
Yeah, same amount of training. It should be, 30-week academy, however it works.
But it all comes back. We're talking about, what did they snap? See, I feel like when somebody says that, you're co-signing with the idea that mental health is the problem. Because you're saying that, what if they snap and they have a gun? Well, what if we prevent them from snapping in the first place?
And then you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. And it's not to say that we can completely remove psychological problems.
Which is impossible.
And psychological problems being like diagnosed problems like schizophrenia.
Okay.
Or any psychological issue like depression or anxiety. Like we can't completely negate that and remove it from being a thing because it's always going to be a thing. And the problem is right now is the highest time that mental health has been an issue in America and in the world. And it's such a serious problem and such a severity that there was a lake in Michigan, they actually found antidepressant drugs in the fish.
I didn't know that.
In the fish.
Wow.
So like that's just one example of how serious it is. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist to be like, like giving out like advice about how to deal with anything, so I really don't know. But I feel like to prevent these things, just from my point of view, which probably could be wrong, but I just feel like kindness, respecting others, caring for one another, like asking people if they're okay, letting people talk to you if they want to, like listening to people, understanding people's points of view. You know, because especially if you're a younger person watching this, like, you know, actually, if you're a high school person watching this, if you're anybody watching this, the way you affect your friends, like, it's more than you know. And what you say to them, like I said earlier, they're going to take your opinion very seriously. And so it can affect them in ways that you wouldn't even realize.
And at the same token, we're not saying, like, don't be real with your friends. Like, if, like, these guys tell me, like, if I make a video and it was bad, they let me know that it was bad. Like, they didn't like this part, they didn't like this part. You know, real friends critique you on things that you need to get better at.
Constructively.
Yeah, and that's completely okay. But at the same time, you need to know a difference between, like, being just straight up rude to somebody and giving constructive criticism.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, guys, that is the end of the video. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like I said in the beginning, leave your ideal solution, what that would be, and just your thoughts in general. Make it a discussion, not a debate. Don't let it get too personal, because then it will get emotional.
Also, everything we've said, we don't know everybody watching this personally. So if we said something that offended you, we definitely did not mean to. We didn't mean for this to be any type of argument. That was not the intention of this video. The intention was simply to raise awareness not only to the school shooting, like everybody did walking out, but raising awareness to mental health. That is much more important, and that needs to be addressed. Much more than the shootings in general.
Number one. More than just the shooting just sounds kind of ridiculous.
Because even
it's everyday life.
Even suicide is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about, like, oh, let's stop suicide. Nope, nobody's saying that. We're saying, like, oh, let's stop mass shootings.
Not saying that's, like,
not saying that suicide is, like,
this was
worse than shootings, but, you know, they're both equally as bad. It's just saying that we need to, if we fix mental health first, then everything can be fixed
that would be
after.
that would be a huge like, for my idea, like I said, the first thing would be addressing mental health.
Yeah, feel free to, you know, respectively disagree or agree with us. You know, feel free to start a question of your own, see if other people answer it. We'll try to answer it. Don't forget, Matt has a YouTube channel as well.
It's my name, Matthew Iglesias. I don't rank well, but if you put, you'll see, just click the link in the
link will be in the description without a doubt.
And this was our version of our walkout. Yeah, you can't always, you know, be a follower. Just gotta, you know, say what you have to say.
Yeah, sometimes you really have to express what you really feel, not what everybody else is feeling.
If you made it to the end of this video, put in the comment section,
love 17 for the 17 people who died.
Love 17.
May they rest in peace.
May they rest in peace.
Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you disagree with the video, leave a dislike. It's completely okay to be honest. This video is much more important to me than ranking or anything like that.
Yeah, this was solely just to get our voice.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys once again. All my social media is in the description below. All of his social media is in the description below.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. Lots of motivational.
Yeah, he does a lot of motivation
and educational videos.
Yeah, educational videos as well. I kind of want to get into that, but I'm still trying to master my craft with the camera and, you know, the bike riding and the clothing brand. It's a lot of stuff at one time, so I appreciate your patience with the channel and all that stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any ideas for another video, since you're using the comment section already, feel free to know what you guys want to see in the future.
Like,
thank you guys for watching.